I needed a Lionel 6466W whistling tender for an upcoming revival project. So I did what I thought was the way to go and ordered up one from eBay. Well, that did not work out so well. Follow along for the rest of the story. Hello, I'm Ron with Classic Model Trains. In this episode, I'm going to show you how I basically built a 6466 whistling tender 1952 from just a bunch of parts. But enough of me yapping. Roll the footage, Clyde! Well, let's see if we got the right one. Ugh. Ghost poop. Oh, I hate ghost poop. Oh, it's all over the place. I think I got some in my mouth. Ooh, nice bubble wrap. I gotta tell you, that wire's cut off, and this thing doesn't weigh enough to have a whistle inside of it. I got frickin' ripped off here. Unbelievable. One screw left in the thing holding it together. Should be 4. This is what I got, and this is what I'm supposed to have gotten. Dang it. The eBay seller was very nice, and they made everything right with me, so I wish they could all be like that. So, on with the shoe. Well, it turns out that I happen to have this whistling unit that was in a box of junk that I got from the secondhand store things, and I do a little rooting around, and I looked at some schematics, and I figured out that the ground is right down through here, and this post right here is grounded, which would just be from the chassis. And this post right up here gets the juice from the rollers. Here's one wire right here. This one here's missing. These are insulated. So this thing's always got power. It's always running through it. And then when you hit the whistle, this DC relay right here snaps shut. And then it puts the juice through, and then this thing spins and makes a whistle. Here. Let me show you guys the schematic that I found online, so that way you too can get your learn on how these things work. Well, sure, DC relays, and then there's the grounds, and the fields, and the roll. Oh yeah, yeah. Just by looking at this, I figured out how to wire the thing up and make it run. Yes. This relay, not very strong, because them points are burned pretty hard. So we're going to file them points, and we're going to make it be a little closer together, clean all this up, lubricate this armature in there. We're going to take these trucks off with these C-clips. We're going to clean them up on the bottom because they are filthy. We need to solder some wires on so we can go up in here with it. And I just buy all the best stuff. This thing has got 75 years of scub on it. So we'll give it the old toothbrush in here. We gotta take this tender apart and clean it. The wheels were all really bad. I've already done that. So I'm kind of recreating it now. These little C-clips right here, I put a needle nose pliers in the center of them, and then I pry them open. They're really quite soft. Pry it open, and then I'll get these clips off. Just little fellers like this. I drew myself a drawing, because this thing is, completely symmetrical. Asymmetrical? Symmetrical. One of the two. So this little hole right here is pretty important, and the loco hooks up here, and the load goes back here, and this is the engineer's side. Get this out of the way. I cleaned this up, put it in the sink under soapy water, and got all the scub off of it. These were funky. They had dirt and potatoes growing in them, and old oil. This feller here, he just kind of sits on top of that kingpin right there. It's probably got a different name. I'm sure I'm calling it the wrong thing. So we call it in the trucking industry, kingpin. What are we going to call it here? Steps going down. Now, I took my Dremel after I got done washing them all with soapy water, and I cleaned up these wheels. This brush was, quite a bit bigger. And the reason it's so important is because this car has to pick up ground, and that comes from the outer wheels, So these are all pickups for the ground. And of course, this is going to pick up the juice from the center rail here, but it's got to be good power. and it's got to be clean. See how big this area is right here? That means that they're hoping that the juice flows through up into this platform where we're going to end up bolting this whistling unit down. There it is, through these two bolts. Need good, clean power. So I wire wheeled all these, wire wheeled up all of these, both sides of this, the pin, yes. Now would be a good time to kind of whirl up these trucks. I see that some of them, the wheels spin on the axle, and sometimes the axle was spinning. But we gotta, service where you can. 8 wheels to do like this. How about this guy? I bet you sometimes he needs a little oil. You suppose? Yeah, sure. We'll just tune that up since we're here. And then this wheel, well, it rolls around. It's gonna need a little lubing. Do the same thing over here. Now somebody's hacked these guys. Here's a piece of wire coming off the pickup back here. This one's completely cut off. So I am going to get my own, and I don't have any tiny flexible wire, so I'm gonna shoot it's the thinnest stuff I could find though. That's kind of that's what I'm getting at. Take my robo strip here. I think it's 16 gauge. We're gonna make these about 1 foot long, I guess. It's always easier to cut some off, but it's hard to add. I want to tin these up before we go to work on them. Tinning means you put some solder on in it. There, see? That's tinned up. This guy here, there's no wire on it, so it's going to be pretty straightforward. Just warm up the solder blob that's there. I'm going to use some of this MG Chemicals Premium Carbon Conductive Grease on these bolsters. Bolster pin, there's the word I was looking for earlier. I knew I'd get it sooner or later. Now, of course, I don't want very much because this stuff probably goes a long way. We want to make sure the juice flows through there. It's important. I think it's important. I think the engineers, they probably think the same way. This will also keep down the rust and the corrosion. This has spent some time in a basement somewhere. I can tell just by looking at it. I want to put enough on that it's going to, cover all this up, but I certainly don't want it scoozing out because this stuff, when it gets on you, oh my, it's everywhere. Now, according to my drawing, we're going to put this on like this one on like this. We're going to put these pins in, and we are going to squeeze them shut. I'm holding on to it with my finger because things like this have a tendency to shoot across the room, and that'll kind of shut your project down right now. Now, I need this oil that I might have gotten. Conductive grease. I'm going to try to take care of right now, because it will be everywhere. Now, there's going to be some that's going to argue, because it's the train world, that you don't need this stuff. Well, that's fine. I have it. I'm going to use it. That's the way I do it. I recommend it. Other fellers don't recommend it. Well, what do? Put these go up through here. If I had a smaller gauge wire, it would have worked better. So there, now we got our chassis cleaned up and ready to go. Now we got to get into this little bugger. Let's do our classic model trains. Classic model of the week. Now, I'm not sure if this gal here was a model. I know she was an actress. Back then, a lot of them started out modeling before they were actresses. But if she wasn't a model, she should be. You know who this is? Type it in the comments down below. If you don't, hang out till the end. I'll tell you who it is. The whistling unit. I want it to have good performance. When I hit the button, I just want it to light off. 1/4 inch nut driver. Pop it. What's this gonna do for me? Not very much, because I can't get it off because the wires are connected. That little feller, he's just looped around there. So I believe that there's brushes in there. Yep. The armature, the commutator, it's also in there. Let's unsolder this guy right over here. All right. Oh! Look at that commutator. Somebody has gone in there and oiled the heck out of it. Over here, a couple screws to get this trumpet off. The sound box, the resonator. Let's pop it off so we can root around in there and see what's going on. Yes? No. Oh, sure, that come out of the whole body right there. Looks like this end here is one of them ends that a guy just can't get to work on. He can't get in there. This commutator and these brushes need some love. Odorless mineral spirits, Q-tips. Set the jug somewhere where you can be sure to knock it over with your elbow. And you got to get all this grease off. That creates havoc like nobody's business. Oh, sure. Oh, ick. Got the commutator all cleaned up. Used this fiberglass pencil that you can get from Amazon and went through there and polished her up. Cleaned up the brushes with the odorless mineral spirits. Clean out the brush holder. Take your Q-tip, you know, and you peel off some of the fuzz. You put that in your mineral spirits, and then you can get down inside these brush holders and this bearing right here, and you can really whoop her into shape. I don't see how the guy can oil this back one in here. It's terrible that they do things like that. Put these screws back in. I'm gonna try to put just a little bit of super lube on the end of this shaft right here. It's thicker than oil. I'm hoping it'll stay in place better. Maybe it won't run. There's just lots of good reasons for it. Now this brush game, you get a balance one in here, because I don't see how the brush holder ends come off, and you balance one in there, and then you get up over here, and then you push it all together. And so this did look successful. Put all this stuff back on. 1/4-inch nut driver. And here, this little feller here, picking up some juice. Tighten that up. Take this guy. We got to solder him back on up over here. That is one happy little unit right there. Got to mount this. I got one bolt that'll work, and I got one bolt that won't work because they're special bolts, and this was never all put together when I got it. Whatever this is, a number 8 by 32, 10 by 32, I ain't sure. But the old thing does want 2 bolts holding it on. I'll just throw this in here for good luck right now. These 2 guys are going to come up here, and they're going to solder in right there. And if I do this just right, we are going to tin these up just a little bit. Little long, yes. Truck swivel, sure. Should have used a thinner gauge. Oh, I never did clean those points up. Son of a bugger. Get a little file down there. Close them up and file them some. Take this piece right here and bend it down some. Get them points so they'll be closer to everybody. I found a couple brass screws and I just cut them down. They only got to be about 1/4 inch long. Screwed them in there. And it's pretty important. You got to have a good ground. That's why we put all the juicy juices underneath here. It's not really a ground. It's more to complete the circuit. Since it's AC, it's going both directions. But when you turn your transformer up, you can hear this thing buzz. I don't know if you can hear that. So this is, you know, it's kind of always just waiting to go. And then you hit your whistle. Yep. Let's get you in here over here on the side. So you can see how it's doing. Okay, I'll do this. So you can keep an eye on this plate. I can just lift it up. So that's the DC solenoid. The little lady come in when I was testing this and she said, it smells like something's burning. No, that's atmosphere. That's what Lionels smell like. Yep. Its body, it came out not too shabby. I got to try to scare up some screws for it. I believe I got some because I only had one. Because somebody stole the damn whistle out of it before they shipped it. There's servicing up a 6466W tender. Now that this tender's all done, keep an eye out for the next episode. Should be out in like a day. Maybe, yeah, about a day. We're going to do a revival on this 1952 Lionel 2026. It's a complete basket case, but we're going to get it up and running. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.